Hello, everybody. Welcome to this live stream. So I'm here with my ingredients delivered to me from the Walmart app, and I'm going to show you how to make one of my favorite dinners ever and one of my signature dishes that I made on TV, also for my family, literally anybody, from professional chefs to my sister who's upstairs. So we're going to get started. We are making linguine with avocado pesto and grilled sautéed shrimp. And this is just super easy, comes together super quick with all of these ingredients that are super incredible. So the first thing we're going to do is get our linguine boiling. We've got our great value linguine. I've just got it open here. This is just a pound. And then right here, we've got 4 quarts of water boiling. So really important when you're making pasta to season the water. That's one of the biggest mistakes I see is that people, get some bland pasta and then they're wondering like, why is my pasta bland? This is the easiest thing you can do that just makes that pasta have the best flavor possible. So I'm just going to add in about a tablespoon in here, just like that. Super easy. This water is just boiling. And another big thing that we're going to make sure not to do is overcook the pasta. Some people also don't know that you can do this, but the best way to serve pasta is al dente, which means it's still got that little bite to it. But a lot of people just put the pasta in the pot, go talk on the phone, maybe watch some movies for like an hour, and then their pasta is complete mush. So we're going to make sure not to do that. It also will start to clump together. So I'll let you know when we're done cooking that, but we're just going to pop that right into our pot. And as it cooks, we're just going to push it down so it all cooks pretty evenly. I'm just going to get a wooden spoon or a spatula to do that. And also, if you have questions at any time, I have the chat feature right here. So just let me know. And while this cooks, I'm actually going to start to thaw our shrimp. So right here, I have our great value shrimp. I love using the frozen shrimp because it's honestly so efficient. Like raw shrimp, sometimes I'll buy it, leave it in the fridge, and then forget about it. And then I'm like, oh, shoot, like I have to cook this, and then it goes back. It's just a hassle. And this great value shrimp, it's so efficient and it's cost effective too. So you'll notice a theme here of we're doing this cost-effective meal, but we're not sacrificing the quality. And that's exactly why I love using the Walmart Great Value brand. So we're just going to put this here. We literally just put it into a colander, run a little hot water over it for a few minutes, and then we're ready to go. So I actually have done a batch here. I'm just going to set this aside, but I'm going to show you how to do it. It's so easy. You literally just pop it into this colander, let it warm water run over the sink for just a little bit. Okay, so while we let our pasta go, we're actually going to start on our sauce. This is an avocado pesto sauce, and there's a few little secrets I have in it that's going to make this one of the most, dynamically flavored sauces you will ever try. So we start with about 3 ounces of basil right here, and you'll notice I've taken all of the stems off, as you can see, and that's important just because the stems tend to be a little bit more bitter. So we're just going to toss it into our blender right here. Pesto is one of those sauces that seems really difficult to make because it just has a great flavor but comes together so quickly. So we're just going to toss all that in there. I've done myself the more convenient task of pre-peeling off all of the leaves of pesto. But just in case, that takes around like 5 minutes. But don't throw these little stems away because they have a great flavor to them that are really great in making like a vegetable broth. And I hate to see all those like good ingredients go to waste because, again, cost efficient here. That's not so cost efficient to throw away all those good ingredients. So also make sure to get all those little leaves in because we want all of that possible flavor. We're going to toss all of that in there. And then the next thing we're going to do is add in 2 avocados. Avocados, you want to make sure these are perfectly ripe, but I'd say you'd probably rather have them be a little bit overly ripe than underripe just because the brown avocado, if it's a little bit brown, you won't even notice because the sauce is so green. And then we're also going to add in some secret ingredients that are going to make sure that this sauce doesn't turn brown really quickly when we add it to the pasta. So I'm just going to add that in here. Look at that. I love cutting open avocados just because it's so satisfying. So we have this here, and we're going to plop this literally. We take it out of the pit. That's pretty important. And oops, We're just going to plop that all into the blender. Super easy, super simple. All right, 2 avocados. One more here. I love avocados. They just make this pesto sauce so creamy. It's one of those things that you honestly never really see inside of pesto, but it creates this like creaminess that I think a pasta sauce needs, and I think that regular pesto sometimes misses. So I just love doing this little recipe here because it's just one of my favorite foods. Okay, and then of course, as we all know, avocados, they just never stay perfectly green. And one thing that you can do if you want to make sure that your avocados stay green is, pour a little bit of citrus or acidity on top to make sure that they don't brown. So I'm just going to do a lime. I have 1 lime right here, and I'm just literally going to cut it in half. And then I have my tongs here. This is that little hack that I learned. You literally just take the tongs, you put the little lime in between, and then you just squeeze. And that's a super easy way to get all the juice out. You can also use a juicer, but this is more fun. How can you tell if the avocados are ripe? That's a great question. So if the avocados are green on the outside, that's definitely a sign that they're too ripe. But you can actually take the little stem off and look inside. You can sort of see the coloring. If it's a nice dark green color, then you're good to go. Also, you can tell by the firmness of the avocado. If you press into the avocado, it should give just a little bit, but it shouldn't be mushy when you push it in. Avocados are just one of those, I was going to say vegetables, but I think they're actually a fruit that is it's really hard to tell when they're perfectly ripe. Okay, there's 1/2 of our lime, and here's the other half. And this obviously keeps the avocado from turning brown, but it also adds that delicious citrus flavor that's going to balance out the creaminess of that avocado. Okay, perfect. There we go. And the next thing we're going to do is add in garlic. So my recipe calls for 3 cloves of garlic, but what I have here is our, market side minced garlic. Again, we're on the theme of cost efficient and easy and just something that tastes delicious and that's not going to sacrifice the quality. We have our pre-minced garlic. Okay, I'm going to be honest, mincing garlic is one of the most tedious tasks to do. So I'm just going to add in around 2 tablespoons of our minced garlic. That's going to make up for those garlic cloves. Perfect. All right. I'm adding a little bit of red chili flakes in just because I like mine to have a little tiny kick to it. That's just going to add that delicious, great flavor. And then it wouldn't be pesto without some pine nuts. So I'm going to add in about 1/3 of a cup. We have our Great Value pine nuts here. Pine nuts are really hard to find, so I was really excited when I saw them on my Walmart app. Make sure I don't spill anything here. Perfect. Okay, and then the key to pesto is to blend up all of these ingredients before we add in that olive oil that's going to make it into an actual sauce, because this is just going to make sure that everything is chopped up super nicely and evenly incorporated. Let's see, this should be on and plugged in, but if not, that's no problem. I can just plug it in really quick. Somebody said, why have I never thought to use my tongs to squeeze lime? That's a great question. I don't know. It's just one of my favorite little hacks. I seem to be having some technical difficulties with this blender. Let's see. Okay, I'll work on that. And in the meantime, we can check on our pasta. I'll just get this spatula here. Okay, blender's good to go, so now let's blend. We're just going to pulse it a little bit at first to make sure that avocado gets blended up, and then we can just go in with the spatula and mash everything together. I like starting at a lower speed at first, just because it makes sure that everything is, getting into that blade, and then we can increase. So we're just going to go in with our spatula, mash that all together. It smells so good. I wish you could smell it through the camera right now. It smells delicious. Also, I love this sauce because it's the perfect combination of creamy but also light, because it's got that richness from the avocados, but it's got, those fresh flavors of basil, and it's, creamed together with, the actual olive oil there. Hello. I love seeing all the chats in the comments. All right. Once it starts to look a little bit like guacamole, it looks like we're pretty good to go. I'm going to give it one more pulse just to make sure everything is nice and incorporated. And then we can stream in 1/3 of a cup of olive oil. I have my Great Value extra virgin olive oil here. It smells delicious. And I'm just going to add in a little bit at a time, which is, pretty much the same as just like drizzling it in. Just because I hate like taking the top off of my blender. I think that's just a personal thing, but that's just one of my pet peeves, is because I can never get it back on. So I'm just going to add in a little bit and then pulse it. And then we can add in a little bit more and repeat until we have our beautiful pesto. All right, let's just mix this all together. Guys, it actually smells incredible in here. We can add a little bit more. And this is going to sort of emulsify it all together and make sure that it becomes that beautiful pesto. And then last little drizzle here. And then the last thing I'm going to do is pour a little bit more lime juice on top so it doesn't brown. So we have a question. Would this work well on sandwiches? My family loves chicken pesto sandwiches. This would be perfect for sandwiches because this pesto is super creamy and it spreads really, really well on bread. As you can see here, I'll put some up to this camera. Look at that texture. It's so creamy and it's perfect for pretty much anything you use pesto for and more. This is like the perfect pesto avocado toast. I literally just thought of that. I should trademark that because I'm going to be doing that. All right, and the last thing I'm going to do before I add that lime juice is add in just a little bit of salt and pepper to taste, just so that everything is nice and seasoned. There's some black pepper. Now we can add in some salt. Got to get that good flavor. And one more pulse. Mix that all up. And we're just going to add this last little bit of lime on top. Just going to give that a slice in half. Again, I just love the flavor that this adds to the pesto, and it's going to help us not have it look a little bit brown. I'm going in with the tongs again to squeeze it just because I'm feeling easy, convenient, and a little bit lazy because I just want dinner. All right, just squeeze that all on top, get the juices in there. Toss this to the side. And now it's time to actually get our pasta out so it doesn't get nice and mushy. So right here we've got our pasta, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a bowl, and I'm just going to grab the pasta. I'm not even going to strain it just because I'm going to add in some olive oil, and we want to save some of that pasta water. And I'm just going to plop it into this bowl, and we're just going to take all of this pasta, which is perfectly al dente, not overly cooked at all, and we're going to get this. Look at that. I love pasta. I actually think I could eat it every day. Like, I would never get tired of it. Perfect. And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to save a little bit of this pasta water because we're going to add that at the end. I'll explain that later on, but basically what it's going to do is help the sauce stick way better to the pasta and just make the sauce texture way better. Okay, Let's just get the rest of this out, and then we can set this pot aside. And we're going to be careful because I already know the sides of the pot are hot. Okay, we'll get this last little bit of pasta out. I'm going to turn off this burner back here. I'm going to take my kitchen towels and take this. I'll keep my tongs. Save those for later. I think they'll come in handy, and we're going to set this aside. But first, I'm going to take a mug, just in here, and I'm going to reserve some of that pasta water. Perfect. And I'm going to set this over here so I don't actually drink it. Hello from Ontario, Canada. Hello. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay. Now it's time. Before we cook our shrimp, I almost skipped a step here. I'm just going to add in a tiny bit of olive oil into our pasta just so it doesn't stick to itself while we, cook that shrimp. Perfect. Look at that. And it might stick a little bit together, but once we add it to the sauce, it'll all be perfect. Look at that. This already smells and looks really good. I can't wait to have it with the sauce. Not too much oil, though, because we're going to add some more later on. Okay. Now it's time to cook our shrimp before everything comes together. So I have this I love cooking my shrimp in this type of pot just because it helps from the oil splattering everywhere, and we can just add the shrimp in. It's also easy. So we're going to start out by turning the pan on, getting it nice and hot, and then we're going to add in a little bit of olive oil, just like that. Not too much. Again, we don't want to fry them up. We just want to saute them. So what we're going to do now, I have this plate over here, and I have my thawed shrimp. So this plate is lined with paper towels. I'm going to move this pasta because we have thawed our shrimp, but since it was frozen, it's got a little bit of water on it. And when we saute that shrimp, that water is going to make it so that it won't form as nice of a little crust on top. So we're going to pat these out nice and dry. And these are veined, by the way. You want to make sure that all of your shrimp is peeled and veined, just like that. Perfect. I love shrimp. I think shrimp works so well with this pasta and the sauce just because, again, it's a lighter type of, shellfish. And also it pairs really, really well with that avocado and lime pasta sauce. Okay, now we're just going to pat off the top there. And before we cook it, we're going to hit it with a little bit of a season. So I generally use a pound of shrimp for this recipe just because I think that that's the right portion with this amount of pasta. But again, always feel free to add more. So there we go. Have this here. And I don't want to overdo the seasonings here just because we're going to add it to that pre-seasoned sauce. But I have a few little surprise seasonings that I urge you to use. They're, of course, optional, but I think that they just add a fantastic flavor to this dish in total. So there's a little salt on top. Probably about a teaspoon. Now we're going to add around the same amount of pepper. Just get that. I love black pepper too. Simple seasoning, but just really enhances any sort of dish. And then I have in this little ramekin, paprika and cayenne pepper. Cayenne pepper is really spicy. Paprika is just going to add that little great flavor. So I'm just going to sprinkle that paprika on top. And then I'm going to hit it with just a tiny bit of cayenne because cayenne, if you add a little too much, your mouth will be on fire. And that's not what we want. But this dish can handle a little bit of spice just because we've got that creaminess from the avocado. And of course, pasta itself is, a carb. So it sort of decreases the amount of spice in, any sort of dish. I love like spicy rigatoni too. That's another spicy dish that works well with pasta. And we're just going to repeat that on the other side of the shrimp. So I'm just going to flip these guys over and hit it with our salt, pepper, and paprika cayenne mixture. Boom. Go over with our salt. Perfect, just like that. And then happy to take any questions about the seasoning process or what seasonings to use with shrimp or just how long to cook it, which we'll be getting to next. All right, get that little pepper on top. Guys, I'm so excited. This is actually coming together so well. All right. What other proteins would be good with this meal? I love chicken with this meal. I think chicken's my favorite protein, I think, to work with. But I think, shrimp is my favorite with this meal. But, a pan-seared chicken would be so good with this. Or, maybe even, I'd say like turkey meatballs, just like another lighter meat that just would work well with pasta too and sauce. So once we get that all nice and seasoned, we're going to make sure this oil is nice. We're going to turn the heat down because it looks like we got a little bit of smoke and we don't need all that heat. And then we're ready to sear. So for shrimp, you sear it on each side for around 2 minutes. So a 4-minute cook total. Because overcooked shrimp tends to be a little bit rubbery, we just want it to be pink and opaque all the way through. So we also don't want to overcrowd the pan. We're just going to add in our shrimps. Look at them sizzling. Yum. I love that sound of like the oil sizzling. Always wondered about seasoning seafood. Tips appreciated. I think for things like shrimp, sort of like the citrusy, like lighter flavors work really well. You definitely can overdo it. A shellfish like a shrimp is a little bit different than, like say a salmon where, like a teriyaki is common or, it's all generally lighter. There are exceptions to that, of course, but, I think for especially this dish, those lighter seasonings, lighter flavors work better. We go back to our handy dandy tongs. We're going to retire these after this because we don't want to use our tongs that have been on the raw shellfish to be used in the pasta. But we're just going to flip these guys. And look, they already look so good. They've got that little crust on them. I can't wait to eat this with the pasta. Do you recommend a stainless steel pan? I'm intimidated with using mine. Absolutely. Okay, this is the thing, is that in my family, we use those Teflon coated pans for a long time, or those it says non-stick pans, but over time when you use them, that coating actually chips off, and you really just don't want that in your food. So I'd highly recommend stainless steel or cast iron even, but I love my stainless steel just because I think it works really well, and it makes me feel like a professional chef. So that's my 2 cents. And we're just going to cook this again around 4-ish minutes. And I'm going to get another paper towel just to line this plate with for when I get out. I'm so excited. I can't reiterate that enough, but look at that crust. It's just got that crispiness, and it's not going to be overcooked too. So we're just going to keep these cooking. Give it a little shaky shake. And then the last thing I'm going to do is finish it with just a squeeze of lemon. This is also another one of my secrets. Seafood and just shellfish in general work so well with those flavors of citrus. So I'm going to go ahead. I actually have a little citrus squeezer here, and I'm just going to finish it off with that dash of lime or lemon. And that's going to work so well with the rest of our pasta. All right. Now we can take all these little shrimpies out. Let me get another set of tongs here. Or a spatula. That works too. We're just going to take these guys, get them onto this tray. Sorry, plate. We can set this aside. And now it's time for my favorite part, which is the assembly, just because I think it's the most fun. What are the benefits of the cast iron pan? I would say a cast iron pan is super reliable, and it's so great for things like steak, which, obviously you want to cook at a high heat. And then, I just love using it. You have to season it first. That's something to be wary of, but I think it works super well with all that. And we're actually going to use these same juices to cook our pasta in, or to assemble everything, because it's got all of that great flavor. So the first thing we're going to do, get that heat up again. Let me see if I have another pair of tongs. Make sure everything's nice and sizzling. This is my fresh pair of tongs, and we're going to get all this pasta, shake it up a little bit, and we're going to add that in here. Yum. Toss that with all that delicious sauce. Yeah, I know. The shrimp cooks so fast. It cooks in around 4 to 5 minutes, on each side. You cook it just so that it gets nice and pink and opaque. All right. I also like stainless steel because it's harder to scratch than some of those other pans. Just thinking about that. Okay, now we're going to add in our avocado pesto. We have it here. We're going to take a spatula. It's a little thick, so that's just perfect consistency. Look, I've got my matching green spatula, and we're just going to plop it in there. Look at that. That looks so good. I love the colors. It's so vibrant. Perfect. You can smell that amazing avocado. You got those hints of lime. You got that pine nut mixture and the olive oil. This is going to be so good. All right. Then we're going to take our tongs over here, and we're just going to shuffle everything around. This part's the most fun. It's a very technical term, the shuffling. Oh my gosh, I wish you could smell it. I love the smell of basil. I love when it just like floats around the kitchen. That is exactly what's going on now. And the linguine, it's perfectly cooked. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is just add in that pasta water that we reserved, just around 1/3 of a cup to 1/2 of a cup, and that's just gonna make it super like saucy and delicious, and just make sure that everything gets nice and incorporated, and help that sauce actually stick to the noodles. Are there substitutions for pine nuts? Yes, so pine nuts can be a little bit hard to find sometimes, but again, I got them on my Walmart app. But if you're allergic to nuts, then you actually could just leave them out. I think they add a great flavor, but if you're allergic to nuts, I wouldn't test it. So you could just leave them out, or you can add in something like a nice like cheese that has a bite to it, maybe like a pecorino cheese in a traditional pesto. And if you look at that pasta, it looks so good. It's got that creaminess. It's got that basil smell to it. It's got just everything that you could want in a pasta dish, in my opinion. And then we're just going to finish it off with that shrimp that we cooked. Just layering that on top. We want it to look like something that a food blogger would have on the homepage of their website, to like strategically like layer it like inside of the noodles. My stomach's growling. Mine too. Okay, we're just going to plop that in there. Look at that. I'm so excited to try this. Perfect. Look at that. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited. Dinner has never been easier. It's never been more efficient and cost efficient. And I'm just can't emphasize enough how delicious it's going to be. So I'm going to plate this up. And while that's plating, I actually got the Great Value Texas toast, which is sort of like a really thick garlic bread. And I'm literally just going to pop it in the oven on this tray with foil because it just goes so well with it. I think that you need a good little side dish, and this just is the perfect addition. So I'm just going to take it out. It's already like pre-seasoned and everything for you too. It's the best. And then I'm going to show you my favorite little hack, which is to add on some more of that Great Value chili flakes to it. And that's just going to add a little bit of a kick to it. I'm going to add in 4 slices here. Get that. And then I'm going to take this. And we're just going to elevate this already like delicious dish here. And we're just going to take it to the next level by adding on these chili flakes. Just a little bit to add that heat. Just going to pop that in the oven. Just baking it at 350 or just whatever the box says. 425, my bad. And while that's going, I'm just going to plate up my dish. So we've got our pasta here. And then the key to plating pasta is to getting it all on the plate first, and then I'll show you. Let's just get that on there. We got a little stray shrimp. I'll get the pasta first. We just take the tongs and we like swirl it up into one little bunch, and then we can add on our shrimpies on top. Perfect. Look at that guy. And then, of course, we have to wipe down our plate to make sure that it's nice and clean. Oh, gosh. I wish I was eating this all for dinner tonight. Yes. I mean, I will be. So you can, too. Just get on that Walmart app, get all of those great value ingredients delivered to you, and you'll be on your way. And of course, we want to make sure that we wipe down all the sides of this. And I'm just going to get a fork really quick. And we can do a taste test. Look at that. I'm so excited. All right, here we go. Whoa. That is everything I want in a pasta dish. It's so creamy. The pasta is perfectly al dente. It's got those notes of citrus, and it's got that creaminess from the avocado. It's got a little bit of that kick to it from some of that cayenne on the shrimp. This is perfect. The perfect dinner. That shrimp, it's perfectly crisp, not overly chewy. I mean, like, what more could you want? All right. I'm happy to take any last minute questions, but I'm so excited to be eating this. Jamie says, yum, looks so good. It's my favorite dinner ever. Look at that. And that basil, I mean, you just can't beat it. My stomach is growling too. Oh, do we have another question? I think that's all. Oh, you can smell the garlic bread too, the Texas toast. Well, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much to Walmart for having me and for Tastemade for having me. It's been so much fun. I hope you've enjoyed this recipe and that you make it at home sometime too, and you've got to try this.